In this video, we're talking about how to shoot for the edit so you can learn how to save time on creating video content. Shooting for the edit basically means speeding up the editing process by becoming more efficient at filming your content. Thinking from an editor's perspective while shooting your videos will save you time, reduce waste, and potentially save you money if you're working with an editor. So here are 5 tips to shoot for the edit when creating tutorials, video courses, or any other type of instructional content. Tip number 1, use a script to get started. No teleprompters here. Some people like teleprompters, but my opinion is that it can become a crutch, and if you rely too heavily on the teleprompter, eventually you're going to end up in a situation where you have to get in front of a camera and speak to an idea, but you're just not able to even execute on it without the teleprompter, so you don't want to rely on that. Ultimately, I feel like the best way to get started when you're creating your videos is to script out from start to finish and remember one sentence at a time. So you can start with that and then eventually work your way up to using bullet points, and then the highest level is like you have a concept for a message that you'd like to convey, you know what the structure is in the back of your mind, and you're able to step in front of the camera and just execute that whole thing start to finish and not really require much edits. But it takes time and practice to get to that level, and you can never really get to that level if you use a teleprompter. So the best way to do this is record one sentence at a time. Tip number 2, double check your setup before you start to film. I can't tell you how many times I've done this, but something's just not been connected correctly, and I didn't know until I started editing the video. And so I had to go back and refilm an entire video simply because the microphone wasn't plugged into the camera all the way. So it's always important to make sure you check your setup before you start filming your content. The easiest way to do that is just record a couple of clips and then play them back right away before you get into filming your actual video. Tip number 3, always look at the lens. Avoid looking away while you're talking. If you're referencing a script on a screen or you're looking at a sheet of paper to see what you're actually looking for, your next idea, then you're going to be looking away from the lens while you're talking, and it creates a disconnection. It actually usually ends up being footage that you don't even ever want to use because you're not looking at the lens. So for this tip to work, the best strategy for you is to start by smiling and looking into the camera lens, and then simply pause at the end of your sentence before you look away. Tip 4, continuous recording. Fewer files equals time and storage saved. Why does this matter? Some people don't agree with this and they'll record their video in multiple clips, and in my opinion that takes longer to process, especially when it comes to equalizing your audio. And that's because you have to do each clip one at a time, or maybe I don't know how to do all of them at the same time. But what I've found is a continuous recording is more efficient for me. Start to finish, I don't turn the recording off until the video's done. And that enables me to look for the cues that we're going to go through next in the next tip, but it also provides the opportunity to do equalization on a single audio file all at once. So if you're taking multiple takes and you're practicing your lines, that's okay. Some people will stop the recording and then go and delete the file. I've accidentally deleted files by that process before, so now I'd just like to do start to finish, continuous recording. Practice your sentence, thought, or idea in one take, start to finish. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Then you just move on and try practicing it again. And you don't have to worry about stopping the recording and redoing it. Aim for the final take to be your best one, the one that ends up getting used. Avoid going overboard. If you're gonna have multiple takes and you finally get to a place where you feel like that was a great delivery of that sentence, then keep that one and don't keep recording more, because then you have to look for those other edits, and then your editor or yourself is going to be trying to find the best take out of a series of takes, which is very time consuming. That brings us to tip number 5, clap or snap. By clapping your hands between takes, you create a visual indicator in the audio file that looks like this. You can see the peak here, and so if you use a 3 clapping or snapping system, then you can create visual indicators for where you want your cuts to happen, saving you tons of time in your editing process. The way to start that is when you read your first sentence and you make a mistake or you don't like it, then at the end of that, have a bit of a pause and then do 1 clap or snap to make a visual indicator that that previous clip will be deleted. Ultimately, you want to save time while you're shooting too, so try to get to your best take within 3 to 5 tries. So after you've practiced your line for a couple of takes and you're confident that you can nail it on the next one, then use a 2-clap indicator that this next one could likely be your final take. This creates a visual indicator at the front end of your video, and it makes it easier to find it right away. Now, once you're confident that you've got the take, you've recorded it, and you did your best effort, and you know it's time to move forward, that's when you can use 3 claps. So that when you're editing, you're looking for the section that has 2 claps on the front end and 3 claps at the back end. Once you see that, you can jump straight ahead to it, and with practice over time, you'll actually be able to edit a lot faster. If you're working with an editor, then share this idea with your editor and let them know, hey, look for the 2 claps to the start and the 3 claps to the finish. That's the take that I want to keep the most. And you don't need to review the rest of the file, because if you're sitting there and you're reviewing your video from start to finish, and you're watching every single multiple take, including the mistakes you know you'll never include in the final version, it's actually going to take you a lot more time. So shooting for the edit really does mean how you show up on camera, how you practice your takes, and how do you create indicators that help save you time in post-production. Keep in mind the 3-clap system's just a way to get started. You can totally customize this and come up with something that works better. If you find you're clapping too much or it's not really working for you, then just come up with your own system. You could use a single clap, 2 claps, whatever you want to do. Just do what you can to create a visual indicator in your audio file that shows that that was your best take and you don't need to review the rest. Another way to speed up the video creation process is in efficient planning. So if you'd like some help with learning how to more efficiently plan your videos, check out this video over here. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. If you got any value, please make sure you give it that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell for notifications, and I hope to see you creating a big impact with your videos.